everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kristen and welcome if this is your first time stopping by. Today I'm going to show you how I did this makeup and how I wore this every single day at Disney World when I was there. I wanted to show you guys how I do my long-lasting makeup routine because, as you know, Florida is really hot. You have long days. You're literally usually at the parks from like 8 a.m. till midnight sometimes. So I wanted to show you guys my tricks and how I make sure that my makeup looks good all day, even if I'm wearing foundation and pretty much every step in my makeup routine that I normally wear. So I hope you guys enjoy this video and find it helpful. If you are not subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button down below. I would love for you guys to join my little family here, and let's just get right into it. So every day I started with a primer. It's the same primer I use every single day. It is the Soap & Glory One Heck of a Blot Face Primer. This is really good for oil control and for foundation longevity. I don't usually wear foundation when I'm there, but this time I did, and even if I don't wear foundation, I wear concealer, and I still use this primer because I just feel like it really does help my makeup stay on and last longer throughout the day. So I did that, and then I did a face spray. This is something that's new, but I just wanted to try it out, and it is the Urban Decay Quick Fix Hydra Charged Complexion Prep Priming Spray. So I just kind of put that on my face, especially because the extra hydration definitely helps when you are in Florida and you're just wanting to moisturize your skin. And I knew that I was going to be wearing a long-wearing foundation, so any prepping and any hydrations were going to help me make my foundation last longer. So the foundation I used is a new foundation to me, but I absolutely fell in love with it while I was there, and I specifically got it for Disney because I didn't have any long-lasting foundations that I had in a good shade for me right now. So I picked up the Maybelline Superstay 24-Hour Full Coverage foundation, I guess, and mine's in the shade 120 Classic Ivory. I love that it came with a pump, and I would do about one and a little bit of a pump, and this was like the perfect amount. I think the key to wearing foundation at Disney is to definitely make sure that you're wearing one that's going to, one, last longer, and two, not pile on a ton of foundation because you don't want it to get cakey and start to crease throughout the day. So I used a very light amount of foundation and a sponge, as I usually do, because it helps kind of remove any excess foundation. And then, of course, make sure you blend it down your neck because you don't want any harsh lines on your neck causing some weird color neck situations. So that is always very, very important. Then I used my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. This is in the shade Light. And I did this because the foundation does oxidize quite a bit, so a lighter concealer helped a lot with making sure that it stayed kind of close to my regular color. And I always do this on my nose, around my mouth, because I get some darkness there, my chin, and of course under my eyes. I love this concealer. I've talked about it several times on my channel. So next, of course, I finished my face off with powder because powder helps really set this foundation. This foundation does set on its own, but I just like to be extra careful. And what I love about this foundation, if I forgot to mention, is that it's non-transfer. So if you touch it, it's not going to come off on your hands, and it won't like move throughout the day, which is really great. So for under eye setting powder, I used my NYX HD Banana Powder. I love this powder, and I used my Real Technique setting brush, which is part of my usual routine. You guys have seen me use this several times before. But I always like to stick with what's familiar, and I don't like to kind of go too far out of what I'm used to. Next, I set my face with my Rimmel Stay Matte Powder and my big fluffy Eco Tools brush, which I absolutely love. It's my full powder brush, and I just patted that on. Make sure you set even where you put the foundation on your neck because you don't want that to move either. So moving on to bronzer, I used my Rimmel Natural Bronzer. It's waterproof, and it lasts really, really long. This is in the shade Sunlight 021. I went a little bit around my nose and down my neck because the foundation is a little bit lighter than my natural, or a little bit darker than my natural skin tone. I make sure I blend it down the neck. And these are so far all powders that I know are long lasting, work really well with my skin, and are reliable for me, and I've used several times before. So that's kind of the trend in what I used. So you'll see that throughout this video as well. I did wear highlighter this time. I don't usually wear highlighter, but I brought the Wet n Wild Gold Bar highlighting powder, and I used my Morphe M501. I got this at Ulta, and I just put this on. What I love is it really does make your skin look really nice and healthy, especially when it hits the sun and you're just walking around the park. I just thought it was beautiful. It looked really, really nice, and it can be kind of excessive if you don't want to wear highlight. Of course, you do not have to do this. And then I just put a little bit on my nose, just on the tip. I didn't put it down my full nose like I usually do when I'm at home because I didn't want my nose to look oily throughout the day. For blush, I used one of my all-time favorites. This is by The Balm. It's an in-stain blush. This is a really long-wearing blush. It almost stains your cheeks, not to the point where you can't take it off, but it's a very long-lasting blush. And I got it in the shade, or I'm using the shade Toil. It's just a very, very bright color, but when you put it onto the cheeks, it just looks like a very natural flush of the cheeks. And I used my normal blush brush, which is an old Sigma brush. The number has worn off, so I actually have no idea like what number this is. But just a light wash of this. And then to make sure nothing looked too harsh with the lines, I would take my sponge, and the side that I didn't use where like concealer were, where I didn't blend my concealer, I would take it and I kind of run over the edges of the blush. It kind of just makes it blend into the skin a little bit better and make it look a little bit more seamless. So then, moving on to eyes, because I always do eyes before I do my eyebrows, and I used the Morphe palette that I brought, which is the eyeshadow palette in Bronzed Babe, and I actually used the matte shades in here more than the shimmer shades. So I used this shade here called Hang 10 and the shade called Road Trip right next to it. I absolutely love those shades, and I'm going to show you exactly what I did with it. Of course, you're first going to want to prime your eyelids so you make sure that those products stay on your eye all day. So I'm going to show you what I used. So for eye primer, I used the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion in Eden. I switched over to this from my MAC Painterly Paint Pot specifically because my Painterly Paint Pot is kind of sheer and I actually needed more coverage. And I also trust a primer potion more, or like an actual primer more than just like a base, because I was starting to find that I wasn't getting as much color out of my shadows as I wanted. So I've been trying a couple different ones, but this is always a good one to go to. I also like the colored one more than the original because it kind of neutralizes my lids. As you guys know, my eyelids are very pigmented and dark, so it helps with me getting a kind of fresh base to work off of. So once that was on, I would just take whatever powder is left over on my setting brush and just kind of pat over that to make sure that when I blend out my eyeshadows that it doesn't skip or get stuck anywhere. And then for the brush I used a Sigma blending brush. Again, this is worn off because I've been using it so much. So I used Hang 10, which is that warmer middle shade in the top. And I got this palette from Ulta, but you can also get it at Morphe.com, I believe. It's just a Morphe palette. I think this palette was relatively inexpensive, but I don't remember how much it was. And I just kind of ran this over my whole lid and blended it into the crease. You could also just do this with the bronzer if you wanted to take less products. You can just use bronzer for this step, and I have done that in the past, but because I wanted to bring this palette, I wanted to use this as much as I could. And then I take Road Trip, which is that shade right next to it, and it's a little bit deeper, and I just kind of put that on the outer half of the lid and into that crease. And then I would take Hang 10 and Road Trip and kind of mix them together and then put them underneath my lower lash line. So really quickly, we're going to do the brows and then we will finish up the eyes. So for eyebrows, I used my normal products, which are the Essence 24-Hour Brow Pencil, the Essence Make Me Brow, and my Wet n Wild Brow Kit. This is kind of a lengthy process, so if you guys want a separate video on it, then I will do that for you, but for the purpose of making this video not super long, I'm going to do it separately. So the key to making sure that your brows stay in place all day is to use a long-wearing brow pencil. That's why I really like this one, because it's a 24-hour wear, and it really does last that long. And of course, setting your brow. Setting your brow is super, super important, especially if you want them to, you know, try to stay in place throughout the day. And then under my eyebrow, as my eyebrow highlight, I just used my NYX powder again as kind of like a 2-in-1 product for this trip. And I used this is actually a Michaels Low Cornell Natural Hair Maxine's mop brush, and this is in the 3/8 inch. I've used this for years. I've literally had this probably for 8 years. I love this brush. And I just use this and I bring that powder as a way to kind of clean up underneath the brow and then to kind of bring down the color if I went a little crazy underneath the, or with the brown. I just kind of bring it down that way. Okay, and then for mascara, I actually used waterproof mascara, but I won't be using that in the video. For my mascara when I was there, I used L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise Mascara and my Maybelline The Falsies Mascara, both in the waterproof formula. But because I don't like normally wearing waterproof mascara, I am going to wear my normal mascara as of right now, and it's the Essence Lashes of the Day. This was in my February favorites. and I love this stuff to death. So I'm just going to put this on. So first I wanted to mention before I do my last step that it's really crucial for you to use waterproof mascara, especially if you're going to do water rides or if you're just going to be in the parks for long periods of time and it's going to be super warm out. Luckily when I was there it was relatively cold. It was like 60s and then at night it was 40, so it was pretty cold for Florida weather. But it's really going to help the longevity of your mascara and your lashes looking good if that is something that's important to you. So I always wear waterproof mascara when I'm there. Even though it's a total pain to get off, I swear by it. And then my last step is to use a long lasting setting spray. So this is the not Makeup Forever, Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray. I brought this travel size. I have a full size of this as well. And what's nice is that when you put this on, it really does lock in all of that makeup. And you don't have to worry about your makeup moving throughout the day. And I had so many compliments from cast members and from just people in general saying like, wow, your makeup looks so great. How are you getting it to last so long? And I actually got like maybe 3 or 4 comments like that a day. So it was a lot, and I really appreciated all of that because I put a lot of effort into making sure that my makeup lasts a long time while I'm there. And I would bring some touch-up makeup throughout the day, mostly a lip balm and maybe some additional mascara in case something were to come off, some concealer, and some extra setting powder in case I needed to kind of fix anything on my face. And the lip balm I was using was actually my Carmex, but I'm completely out of it, so I'm going to show you this one. This is something I got in an Ipsy bag. This is the GlossierBalm.com Coconut Lip Balm, and I really needed the moisture because the first day I was there, after we got there on the plane, my lips dried out so bad. So lip balm for me was so crucial, and I don't usually wear lip products because I don't want to have to worry about fixing those up throughout the day while I'm there. But that's just a personal preference. You guys will see these ears in a haul coming up very soon. It should be my next video up. If not, it might be 2 videos from now because there was a request to show you guys how I packed my liquid, so I will show you guys that in the next video. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye guys!